Introducing the ultimate seat cover, Tiger Tough. Proudly made in the US of A, waterproof and backed by an unconditional warranty. Yes, you heard it right. 2 years on vehicles and a lifetime guarantee on heavy equipment. They have you covered for manufacturer defects, normal wear and tear, and even those oh shit moments. Tiger Tough covers are meticulously crafted for a perfect fit with over 30,000 pre-fit designs, ensuring they stay in place without any shifting or sliding. Plus, they're even machine washable. Don't settle for less. Get a seat cover today that's built to last. Order today at tigertough.com/dirt. Get a free logo embroidery on your first order if you use the code DIRTBAG at checkout. Once received, show us your new badass seat covers with your logo and tag us. Experience durability and quality with Tiger Tough seat covers. Toughness guaranteed. Host Tur Wars.
Dude, Tur Wars was so sick. Everyone was got home safe. Obviously, everyone, that's the biggest thing with an event like that. You've got razors, banshees, like rigs that probably shouldn't be going as fast as they're going, and nobody got hurt, and it was a successful event. We had probably a few more people, definitely more people in the crowd, which is nice. That's always something we've lacked, is like spectators coming in. But the weather was picture perfect, 70 degrees, sunny all day, like just beautiful. So all in all, our goal is to not lose money, have a ton of fun, and not work too hard, because we've had years where we'll put a 13-hour day in and we're like, that sucked.
That's a long day.
Yeah. So I think we struck every chord we were looking to strike. And, in the business, there's 4 of us owners: Jake Sherbrooke, Hunter Walls, Jenna Walls, and myself. We've never taken a distribution or paid ourselves, but we usually just roll the money right back into equipment or the after party. We set a new record at the Roadhouse after party, and we left by midnight. So
what was the record? Was it shots bought or drinks?
I think just total tab. It was ended up being about $3,800.
Hell yeah, that's a good tab.
And if I have the receipt, if you look at the receipt, it's actually hilarious, because everyone's got their food and stuff, and we take all the volunteers out and everything. And it once you get towards the bottom, you're like, oh, that's how it adds up. Because you're like, oh, chicken strip basket $15, a steak $20. Like, how did you spend almost $4K? And then here's the
you gotta frame that.
Yeah, we're gonna send it to Gabe, the owner. And let me just read off a couple doozies here that really got up there. Once it's the shots, and I don't know why we do these,
shots,
but
kill the budgets.
34 Casamigos, 48 shaken shots, 116 bomb shots, 22 Crown, 2 Tanqueray, 8 seasonal taps, 21 Coors Lights. Just a little bit of everything on here. Somebody had 8 fountain pops, or hopefully a couple people, but yeah, dude, it was a great time though. Like, I think that's just the vibe of Tur Wars, is just to go out, have a great time. It's none of our full-time jobs.
Just something fun to do.
Yeah. And so we've got our next one coming up August 16th. It's in Appleton, Minnesota. Cool. And that's the one we travel down for. And Go Rentals hooks us up with an RV, and it's like an expedited one, or it's like 3 hours. We'll do 3 or 4 classes. We have like the kids class, 450cc, farm utility, and then open mod. And dude, it's just a blast. So we had a few people. I know Tony Moritz with Moritz Excavating, he stopped out, and just a bunch of people that I don't get to see very often. But dude, Olivia and I, we were in Minnesota for 11 days. You eat out every day, you're drinking every other day, it feels like, and we're like just gonna take a cleanse for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's different coming back here, because it's like you're either on the lake on a pontoon or a boat drinking. You go to the golf course, you're drinking. You go to church, you're having some church wine. So it's all over the place,
dude. I feel disgusting, and Liv does too. And then we do our monthly budgeting meeting and marriage meeting, and we just spent so much money. It's like you go to Longbridge, there's $115. You go
Yeah,
out
for
to
two people.
Lakeside, yeah, for two people,
Yeah.
just eating and a couple drinks even. And I'm like, gosh, we need to just hunker down here for a couple weeks and not do anything.
Yeah. And I'm sure she's like, I agree.
Oh yeah, she was the one that brought it up because Olivia, and this is a future topic for a podcast probably, but I'm definitely like a systems guy, like just a routine guy.
Yep.
When I get out of my routine, I'm a little bit off. But Olivia, you can tell when she's out of her routine, and it's just she's so excited to get back to like hitting her Pilates class at 5:30 and then going to work and then like working in the office and then getting home and like cooking dinner and going to bed at 8:30. And it can really throw you off if you're out of your routine and eating out and just, doing all that crap.
Dude, absolutely. And it adds up. Like you said, it takes a toll on the body and it kind of takes a toll on like mental sanity because you're so out of place and you're like, this is so different from the normal. And obviously it's good to kind of mix that up a little bit, but there's definitely a line.
Oh, 100%. And like I said, I don't get messed up as bad from it. And I love traveling. I love traveling for work, all that stuff. But yeah, the 11 days, it was like we were overindulging in every area of our life.
Yeah.
Even though we were working every day and working very, very hard, and obviously with Turf Wars as well. But it's like, yeah, I just needed to get home. And I think it's the social thing of social overload of you're just trying to be on all the time with so many people. And I'm like, man, I just want to go home and like play some cards with Olivia or like
Yeah.
sleep or something.
Something. Just relax. But
Yeah.
I'm bummed. And again, that's my fault that we didn't get together in golf because we had a tee time set. Although it was a really, really fucking windy day, so it wouldn't have been super
Yeah.
fun out there. But dude, we struggled last week. Yeah, because it was last week.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go on Wednesday. That was one of the tougher weeks I've had in a while. We
So
made it through though.
before we dive into it, because I really want to hear more about it, I told my mom that we were golfing together, and she's like, how does he have any time to golf with you? I'm like, I have no idea, but I'll take it. And then you canceled. I'm like, this is probably for the better.
You like that
Um,
cocksucker.
no, I'm like, this worked out. But yeah, how was the week? We'll start
Dude,
there.
it was just a hard week. Great.
Yeah.
Nothing could go right. It was just one of those where it was a testing week. It was
Mm.
I don't know if God was saying, "Hey Luke, I'm going to kick you in the knees and then I'm going to kick you in the balls and see how you do." And just hopefully you live. It definitely felt like it. And we obviously come Friday, I was like one of these like shaking the week off and I was like, I can't wait till
Yeah.
Saturday's here. I don't have to worry about nothing being done. And yeah, it was a tough week, but we made it through. And
Yeah.
this week is off to a good start. So
Good, good. Is it yeah, I mean, is it people based?
no, it's work based.
Yeah.
People aren't paying us. And
Mm,
I don't, it's like pulling teeth to get paid. And we're still collecting on March invoices right now. And I'm
dang.
like, we're in June, you guys. Like, you have no excuse to not be paying us.
Yeah.
It's just carrying that all the way. And there's definitely a point where you're like, I can't carry it anymore. And thankfully, we haven't reached that yet, but we've
Yeah.
been fucking close at times.
Yeah. Are there, I'm sure there are, but people or companies that have the opposite um relationship with you where they pay like almost early and they're always on time?
No, I don't have a single contractor that ever pays us early.
That's
I think
that's tough.
every one of them is late. And recently we it last this was a positive from last week. I'm talking on the negatives, but we had 5 contracts come in. We had a couple LOIs, which is letter of intent, and then some contracts come in for awardals that we didn't think that we were going to be getting, and they were good sized projects. And on all of them, I'm trying to negotiate the payment terms, but all of our contracts are, oh, well, we'll pay you when the contractor pays us. I'm like, no, send me your guys' prime agreement because I guarantee you that's not the case.
Yeah.
Right. I bet you have a certain set of days that you're getting paid from the contractor. Like I know some of them where as soon as you receive the payout, the contractor has 10 days to pay you from that payout date. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I want a minimum of net 30. "Oh, Luke, we can't do that." And I'm like, "Yes, you can. I'm not signing this contract unless it's on a net 30 basis."
Yeah. So,
And
trying to put myself in their shoes a little bit. What do they? Because when they get the money, what do they then do with it? To do they Are they just paying other bills with
paying
it?
other bills, and
Yeah.
I don't know the whole general contracting side, but
Sure.
one of the contractors was like, "Well, Luke, say we get paid within 15 days, that money doesn't land until 25." And I'm like, "Yes, it does. Do you think I've never wired money before? Like big
Right.
lump sums, it goes that next day."
Right.
I
Right.
don't I don't know what you're talking about. And so it's just a lot of arguing based on that. And obviously it's to protect themselves a little bit because
Yeah.
say the owner doesn't pay them, something comes up with financing.
Yeah.
They're still on the hook to pay their sub. So I get it, but I'm not going to put up with it anymore.
Yeah. Man, I always tell people, you have a unique personality where you're very good with people, but you're also,
I tell them
not,
not.
but yeah, well, not necessarily, I wouldn't even say it like that, but I would say, not to get pushed around either. You're not going to let your charisma affect you in a negative way where you're just like get walked over. But I think especially in your industry, I mean, there's definitely other businesses you can start where you don't have to be as hard nosed, but you have to have some tough skin in this space, in your space.
You gotta you gotta be able to negotiate very well and make it not come off as an argument or a
Yep.
fight.
Yeah.
And that is a very thin line between those two because people take things very personally. They take things the wrong way, whether it's through an email or a text. They're going to take it how they want to take it. So what I found out is phone calls and then follow-up emails.
Okay, cool. That was going to be my next question is how do these conversations typically go? Because they're probably different for everyone listening. They might think it's all emails or text, but I know you're on the phone quite a bit.
I love being on the phone because if I'm hot about something and
Yeah.
something is really bothering me, I'm going to make it known, but I'm going to make it known in a way that they can translate to where it's not malicious. To where
Yeah.
emails, people can take
Oh
that
yeah.
any which way they want. You could say thanks, period, and people are like, he's pissed off.
What he's pissed off about.
Yeah, so it's hard on that front, but the follow-up emails after the phone conversations are essential because that's where you bring up all the talking points, what was said, what was stated,
Yeah.
so there's no going back and forth of like, well, I don't have a paper trail of this.
Yeah. We have a client who emails in all caps.
Do they know that it's all caps?
I I don't know. Maybe not, but I just always tell our team, I'm like, he's great. Like he's not mad at you.
Don't mind the all caps.
And a lot of exclamation points and a lot of it's, and we've worked with them for a long time. We're good
Yeah,
friends with them, but I'm like, don't take anything the wrong way. It might seem like he's screaming at you through the
but he's
email,
not.
but he's not at all. Like it's actually constructive, good feedback, but it's yeah, how you communicate with people. And I love what you said too. It's all a negotiation. And we talked about it before on a podcast, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss.
Yep.
He says something, there's like 800 negotiations every single day, whether that's talking to your kids, that's negotiating what you're going to eat for dinner, that's negotiating in business, Craigslist deals, anything, and negotiating with yourself on what to buy, what decisions to make. So, um, reading that book really helps you understand the art of negotiating. But like you said, it's making the other person feel like they won as well and
Yep.
not because that's how you win the negotiation is when you win and the other person feels like they won.
I think it's the art of leverage too.
Mm.
Understanding where your pull is. Like, hey, I'm low bid on this project. That next person above me was 150 grand. Okay. I can go on a net 90 basis, but I'm going to move it up to that 109 or 150, $190,000 mark to where that next person was. Right. I am helping save money on this project. Hopefully we came close or under budgetary numbers that you guys had for the
Right.
financing, but I'm going to ask in something in return too, because I don't want to finance your project.
It's understanding leverage and also understanding risk. I think
Yes.
that factors into it. And that definitely would affect your bid, I would think as well, of just knowing where you're at and where you sit. But also knowing your numbers. We talk about that a ton. But you have to take everything into account, like who you're working with,
Yeah.
what your numbers are, where your business is at, what your overhead is, because you can't just be throwing darts at a wall. But in that negotiation, yeah, understanding your leverage and understanding your risk. And I was talking to one of our clients, been working with him for a while, and he heard from one of his friends who's in the commercial space that you could negotiate out the retainage in some situations. And he's like, what? I didn't know you could do that. And
Oh yeah.
I think it just goes to show that there are, well, for one, from my point of view, you never know until you ask or try something. But also just always learning, always talking to other people, seeing what they do, because something like that's a huge nugget that you could at least throw in there. Be like, we're so close on this, but what if we take this out? That makes it work for me. That helps adjust my risk, and it
Correct.
works for you as well.
100%. And retainage is a killer. Say you're in a very competitive market and you're bidding at a 12%. Well, guess what? If your contract has a 10% retainage, you're netting 2%. And that's if everything
It
goes
goes well.
perfect to your bid. So that is a very risky business. So yeah, you need to protect yourself.
How long does retainage go for again after it's done?
Every contract is different. We have some to where it's not getting paid out until project completion, not even scope completion. Some they'll release when your scope is done, but there's a lot of times like how we bid things. We bid the earthwork, the utilities, and then the park or the aggregate base courses is how we label it. A lot of the time that aggregate base course doesn't get done until like full exterior interiors done. Like that's the last thing to get on the CO. And so contractors are holding that until the end. So that makes it very tough. And that was a big learning curve from last year. Cole and I just kind of overlooked it. We're like, we have a very, good margin on this, but then our
Yep.
projects maybe didn't go the right way. And then the retainage, we're like, oh, we're not going to see that money. So that was a good learning. And this year, obviously, we're taking things differently. But
Yeah.
I was talking to Dylan. We have a group chat, me, Dylan, Will, and
Mercier.
Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes. And we were talking about like overhead, how everybody calculates their overhead, fixed variables, what they consider job cost. Do they include that in overhead? And we were all like, we need to hop on a Zoom meeting because everybody had different opinions. We still haven't
Wow.
set that, but we need to. But Dylan was telling us that he negotiated, it was a $1 million+ contract with zero retainage.
Wow.
I'm like, good for you, dude. So that was really cool to hear on the topic of negotiations.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what were some of the trends with calculating overhead.
Oh, dude, they're all over the place. Like,
Mm.
where do you do your hourly labor? Some people will put it in overhead. Some people will put it in job cost. Where do you put your equipment? Right? Your equipment, in my opinion, is a fixed cost because you know what that's going to charge you monthly. But I'm still going to put that into a job cost instead of an overhead. That's still something that I have to pay for, but it's associated with the projects as well. Because guess what? If I don't have any projects, I could just get rid of those machines.
Right.
So there's so many different ways to go about it and like what else people include. And so when we have that meeting, I'll have to let you know what everybody's kind of consensus was and their opinions on things.
Yeah, I'm sure people listening are wanting to jump in on that too, but just take some notes, and we'll have to do a whole calculating overhead type
Yeah.
podcast or something like that, because I mean, that's a perfect example. There's 4 or 5 of you guys that have been in the industry for a while that uh, all have different opinions on it and different
Yeah.
ways to do it. And so, and who knows how many other people listening that are like, yeah, I just did it this way because that's how my dad did it, or that's how I was taught to do it, and don't know any different.
100%. We bid our overhead at a 5%. So like if we're bidding on say we're really aggressive in an area and we want to bid at a 10% margin, it really it really means that we're bidding at a 15% because we put our overhead on top of our true margin.
Gotcha. So 10% would be after the overhead is taken out.
Correct. Yes.
Gotcha.
So that's
that's
like your net margin.
net
Yep.
before taxes.
Correct.
Gotcha. Cool.
And there's some places that we're able to do more on. It just really depends on the area and the project. So
Yeah. And then, I mean, kind of ties right back into our understanding leverage as well. There's
yep,
some projects where they're like, we need this done this year or now. And you're like, well, we can do that, but it's going to
you're
cost
going to pay
this.
for it.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of companies or some companies that are more than willing to do that. Like if you put
Yep.
me at the front of the line, without, yeah, obviously you're not going to screw over your current clients, but if you work me in, we'll pay for it.
If there's a project that say we're making $1 million on, I'm going to prioritize that project. I'm not going to screw over
Right.
other contractors, right? But I'm going to make sure that we're on site on that project, making headway to where we can supplement to others. Smaller projects we can handle a lot easier with a skinnier crew
Mm-hmm.
compared to some of these big projects where I know I'm making money on. As a contractor, you have to make money. You have a very short window of
Yeah.
operation time that you got to make those high dollar projects. You got to prioritize them, in my opinion.
Yeah. And it's interesting too. I wrote this down when we were talking about retainage, 12%, and then 10% is held. And there's a 2% left over if everything goes perfect. And that's just one example. But, and that's not calculating in the growth of the next job and the cash you need for that.
Correct.
And I was listening to a podcast today and it talked about, sometimes you just have to like slow the growth and grow with what you are able. And let me back up here. So it talked about hiring like thoroughbreds for your company and
Yep.
hiring A players instead of just taking a warm body, getting them in there. And then that's your expectation you set for your company. And the question to the host was like, okay, so does that mean I have to sacrifice some growth? And he said, absolutely. Sometimes you do have to sacrifice some growth to catch up, help the company catch up because you're just going to keep funding the next project. And if one thing goes wrong, that comes all tumbling back down. And then there's not much to show for it. So I know, and I don't want to speak for you, but I know part of Western strategy was like, we had this incredible growth, but now it's like we need to like catch up and like sustain it and make sure our systems are aligned with a company of this size.
100%. Like last year's Western would not be attainable this year.
Right. Right.
Right. So it's figuring that out internally and creating those systems and really focusing on those pain points and making it better. Right. Our backlog is already more than what we did last year in revenue, and we're still bidding. So we're still going to have a very big year. But I feel like we really kind of excelled in the office and our
Yeah.
operations within the field that we're able to do that.
What do you think that was? What helped you and Cole take that step back to revitalize everything in the office?
Seeing how cash flow sucked at times that we're like, this isn't fun. This isn't
Yeah.
fun to be worrying about this when we have everything budgeted, but yet we're still short.
Yeah.
There was times in June and July where we were at our peak and we were billing, $2 million a month, but we're like, where did all this money go? And it was the back end compliance. And, again, it was a year that we shot up and it
Yeah.
was great, but there was really no designated responsibilities with the chain of command. So establishing that chain of command was very important this year and understanding everybody's roles, who's responsible for what, where the compliance goes, all of that. And that, I mean, even being June 3rd, we can tell the difference already. Obviously there's tweaks that we still want to make, but yeah, it's a different company than last year and we're anxious for it.
Yeah. And you don't have to mention names, but was there somebody that noticeably stepped up that wasn't an owner?
Dude, I think everybody stepped up
Yeah.
because they had a lot better direction and they had a lot better understanding of what they were actually required to do. We would turn guys on projects last year and just be like, get it done. Okay, well, what am I getting done?
Yeah.
Because Cole and I were so caught up on the back end that we couldn't always be there on the front end to where we had it in our heads, but we couldn't divulge that out to somebody else and say, here's my thoughts, here's what I'm thinking. We just assume that they understood what we did, which is never the case.
So how does that work then? So you walk them through it on site and then
Yep.
watch them do it and then leave them to do it?
No, we wouldn't even do that. There was times last year. I mean, one of the biggest pain points that we had last year was guys were always kind of rotating through projects to keep up with certain areas. And we learned to never do that. Have a crew dedicated
Yep.
to a project, execute until there's nothing else, and then supplement others. But they are no longer leads on the project. They are under the lead of said project, right? So we learned that one pretty quick last year. We just didn't have the manpower to execute like we do this year.
Gotcha. You guys expanding into, I guess, into other states, or is it mainly just Western North Dakota?
We're in South Dakota again this year.
Mm-hmm.
Western North Dakota. We're on the eastern side of North Dakota. We've got a couple bigger projects in like the central Minnesota area
Oh, really?
that we're anxious on. Yeah, that's kind of new to us. So we'll see how those go and
That's cool.
see what the guys think of that. So
What type of projects would those be?
more development side. So like, I don't know, Cole's been in touch with most of them, but a lot of like almost like residential development on these lake systems to where people are making different HOAs to accommodate more housing with less dock space or, less frontage with more houses type thing. So we're kind of anxious to see how those go.
Yeah, so you guys would go in and do all the dirt work,
Mhm.
utility hookups,
Everything.
everything. Yeah.
The
Cool.
only thing that we wouldn't be doing is the paving.
Right.
We haven't gotten into the paving yet, but Israel, our new senior estimator, he's like, why the hell are you not, why don't you have a paving division? You guys have everything to be a prime, but
Yeah.
yet you're not priming these projects.
Is it, I've always kind of wondered that because out of all of our clients, there's only a few that complete it with paving, but is it just a whole separate business that's way different, or is it not?
No, it would be a whole separate business because
Gotcha.
you can't guy or an asphalt guy and say, go run this excavator and dig this foundation. And you can't take an excavator operator and say, hey, I need you to go pave this road for me.
Yeah.
They would have no idea. So it's two different specialty trades. But
Yeah.
if you can incorporate that together, then yeah, you can make some money on it. And there's your big players that do it. There's like Knife River in our area does it, Strata. Then there's a couple other people that will bid. We're doing actually one with Knife River out in Watford City right now. They're the
Cool.
prime. We sent it to them. They weren't originally going to bid because they couldn't find anybody to do the underground. And so, oh yeah, we'll bid this now since you guys are going to do the earthwork in the underground. Then we'll come in, do all the grading and paving. Perfect. Easy for us. So they sent it as the prime. And so that's something we're kind of looking at.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too, because it's, you kind of stay in your own lane and you're like, do I want to am I taking this on for the business opportunity? Or is it just going to be a big distraction that is pulling us away from what we actually do? Because like you said, it's a whole new crew, a whole new set of guys that do different things, whole new business. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of how you got to this point, is taking chances and taking risks as well. So
yeah. And I'm not afraid to take risks. I think I'm a lot more conservative than I was because I do have that family now, and I want to make sure like we don't go bankrupt. What if something does happen and we have to come up with $2 million all of a sudden? That would suck.
Yeah.
So it definitely is a little bit more cautious than what I was back in 2018, but I still am very impulsive and I still love the thrill of trying something new.
All right, you dirtbags, we're going to take a quick break to thank one of our sponsors, Lambert Insurance Services. If you know Luke and I, we started this podcast to provide value to the construction industry. When we went to seek out an insurance company to work with, there's not a whole lot that are specific to the industry. And we really didn't want to work with a generalist agency, so we kind of put that on the back burner. Then we got to meet Sam Lambert. Sam is a fellow dirtbag himself. He's been in the industry for a long time, but he also started his insurance company in 2008 specifically for construction companies. So when we had that conversation, we knew that this would be the perfect match. So we started working with him, and he's been incredible. He leads first. He wants to be a resource first and an insurance agency second. They can help with provide general liability, workers' comp, commercial truck insurance, insurance for equipment, and so many more different avenues that he can provide coverage for. The great part about it is, they're licensed in most states and they always quote through multiple companies,
including Progressive Commercial Insurance.
So that's how you know you can get a competitive rate. And even better, Sam, he's the owner. He wanted to provide his cell number just so if you have any questions, specifically from the dirt bags, you can always text him, give him a call, ask to compare plans, or just ask, what his rates would be. And then he can help direct you to the right place or answer your question from there. His number is 385-204-5799, or you can reach them at their website, which is lambert-ins.com. So reach out to him if you have any insurance questions. We're very excited about this partnership. Sam is an awesome guy, and we're just excited to continue providing value for all you dirtbags. So thank you, Lambert Insurance. Give him a text, shoot him a call, let him know that you're fans of the Dirtbags podcast. Let's get back to it. Hell yeah. I don't know.
I kind of contradicted myself, but
I love it.
Playing both edges of the sword.
Yeah, people always ask me what it's like to work with you or what your personality is like, and that's
what
exactly
is it. Let's hear your opinion, Luke. You're probably like, I don't know, man. He just does his own thing.
No, I mean it's kind of like what you said. It's you're not afraid to do new stuff and go 100 miles an hour, but you're very wise in your business and in your business decisions and who you work with. I think that's the biggest thing is the relationships that you build. But yeah, then it's just making sure that you're putting your time into the right things, I would say, is something that before it distracted you, where you're like doing and for example, like one of the apps that you said, Luke, I want to build this app.
I was all in on it.
I'm like, dude, you do not want to be in the software space. Like that is just a black hole. Sometimes it can work, but I'm like, you can make way more impact, make way more money doing what you're currently doing and more. But yeah, so there's certain things like that. I'm like, it's a waste of your time, in my opinion. And because your time is valuable with your family, with your businesses. And there's some things where I'm like, that's just a black hole. That's just going to suck your time and your enjoyment out of life. But no, I basically, just tell everyone you're a dog and you work for it and you make whatever you're doing, you make it happen.
Now I'm going to explain what it's like working with Luke E. Luke E is, there's your little devil on the side of your shoulder and the little angel on the side of your shoulder. And Luke represents the little angel because he's always like never wanting to like tell you not to do something, but you'll always be like, maybe look this way. And have you thought about this? Instead of, oh yeah, don't do that. You're an idiot if you do that.
Yeah.
That's one thing I've always noticed.
I have a lot of practice with you have a lot of ideas and business ideas and I love them, but I've only said yes to one of them, which is now the Dirtbags podcast. And it didn't start out.
We were both in agreement on that because we were both like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And I think a lot of things too, it's like we can have so many great ideas, but then you got to think, the time commitment that it's going to take long term and what that's going to pull away from. And we've had many ideas where it's like, that's a dumb idea. Like the laundromat that you called me about.
Dude, there was a laundromat that was for sale. And I was like, Luke, do you want to buy one with me? I was so close to doing it, but I'm glad.
It was in Fargo and this wasn't that long ago. This is like within the year. And you sent me like a Craigslist listing. You're like, we should buy it. And it's like laundromat. It's like $150,000 or something like that.
And it was like 100, I think.
Or $100,000. Yeah. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'll take a look at it. But I had no interest from the first impression. And then I look into it. It's just a bunch of old, washers and dryers and stuff. And I'm like, okay, like maybe I get it. But I was asking, I was like, why? And you're like, well, recurring revenue and like all this, it's self-serve. We don't have to touch it. And then like 2 weeks later, you found out their net income was like $9,000 in a year.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, we're done. Yeah.
And I didn't have the heart to tell you, like, I think I did actually tell you for that one. This is is very dumb.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be in the laundromat business.
I'll be in any business that makes money. I think I don't care as long as the time is there. And obviously knowing now, like the time commitment just with everything going on, that becomes very tough. But anyway, I'm still not done explaining how you are as a partner. I love when we get to travel together because you're always like, yeah, let's go drink some beers. And then in the morning, I'm going to work out. Like, and you're very scheduled. When we were in Michigan, you were like, yep, we've got this at this time. Let's have breakfast at 8. At 8:30, let's have a meeting about, topics. And then come 11, we can get together, maybe play a little blackjack. I just love it because I'm like, yeah, man, that's sounds good to me. And I'm just whatever your schedule is, I'm there at that time.
Dude, it's a blast. And I think it's fun too because what really helps being in business with you is that we don't have to see each other every day.
Mm-mm.
We don't even do podcasts every day. We do like one a week, if that. And so when we do get together, we get to have a ton of fun, but also we both have that business mindset. Like one of our favorite things to do, both of us, is just talk business. And if we could just sit in a hot tub with some Coors Lights and talk business all day, like that's what we'd want to do. But no, I think that's why it's been such a fun partnership, because you give the insight from a totally different perspective than I can, but then also vice versa too. And
Because you see so many different angles at it.
yeah,
That's super valuable.
yeah, that's been so fun and crazy. And it's cool because so we have our clients and I get to see everything with them. And so we have about 60 clients now, which is crazy.
Hell yeah.
And
Good for you guys.
but then with the dirt bags, we have like 5,000 a month or something, or whatever it is. And it's like maybe more. And
Yep.
all of their perspectives. And so they give us angles that we've never looked at as well. And I think that's only helped the podcast and helped the show. And just also with us talking to each other, it gives us so much more content to talk about, because I think it would be so hard to host a podcast by yourself and kind of
It would be.
boring. And then for the second thing too, just like difficult to keep it fresh with like new content and fun stuff. But it's yeah, I definitely probably wouldn't want to do it by myself ever.
It's hard to engage just by talking by yourself. Like if it was you or myself, there's no way I would be able to keep a conversation with myself with the train of thought of the topic that I'm trying to talk about. Like I need somebody to bounce things off of. And I think you and I do a really good job of like one person talks for a little bit and then they stop and then the other person knows to pick like up on that conversation. And what's fun about it is I feel like neither of us are really listening to reply, but it's like you and I are having a conversation and we're I don't even know how to say it. Would it be like replying from what we heard in a way instead of listening, I don't know if
Yeah.
that
Well,
makes
I mean,
sense.
really, it's just, and that's how we try and do these podcasts. Actually,
Yeah.
you just said right when I jumped on, you're like, just hit record. We're not talking before. So this is us catching up as well, but we're just happen to be recording it on a podcast.
Yeah.
But
'Cause we
that's the
always miss
whole,
the good stuff when we do that.
yeah, and that's the whole point. And I think that's what people want to hear as well, is like the real stuff and the raw stuff. And, I've got 3 notes on my notepad here to talk about, and that's it. And so we didn't have a huge plan coming into it, but we have so much content that we could go through, just from people sending us messages on Instagram to catching up with things we've done in the past to also things in the future. Like we could talk about Dirt World Summit that we're going to. We could talk about sponsorship opportunities. We could talk about, I saw some people reply to us about Con Expo 2026 and they're
Saw
like,
that too.
we got to get this going. And I'm like, hey, we could put together a huge board of like 20 of us to help plan it. And then
Yeah.
that way, if 20 people show up only, we're like, hey, we could solve a good time. But I
100%.
think that'll get some legs under it though. And but that's the thing, it's very exciting. It's very fun. And I feel like we can relate to people a lot more because we're doing the same things that they are. And not me personally, but you specifically.
Yep. But then you're right with them as well because they're
Yeah.
coming to you with their experience and their probably more pain points, right? Because
Oh yeah.
you probably don't hear, you probably hear less good than you do bad. Like, hey, I need to fix this, this, and this. This isn't working. I need to make more calls. This is my pain point. This is my problem. Maybe? Like, what
So
are the solutions?
yeah, so oddly enough, it's the opposite. And
good.
but it starts out that way. They're coming to us for a reason,
Yes.
but they see a positive outcome that will come from it. And then a lot of it's just in their attitude as well of, we would never work with somebody if they came to us and they put us on the chopping block right away of saying, if you don't increase our calls in the first 3 months, you're gone.
Yep.
We would never even start with them because that's not who we want to work with. And so the attitude of the people we work with, and honestly, that's just attracted our new clients as well, because if they're sticking with us, if something's working for them, then they want to jump in, and we love that too. But really too, it's just, we're just learning with them. But when we learn with them every single day, for now, coming up on 5 years we've been in business,
That's
it's
crazy.
like, yeah, we can probably put some things together. And then my goal is always to like let our clients reap the benefits of what we're doing internally. And so if somebody comes on at the old fees of $1,500 a month in phase 1, and then in next year it'll probably be up to $2,495, like they're not going to pay that difference. They're going to stay on at $1,500 because they believed in us back when we did charge that much. And so, but our client base, they take care of us in so many ways, and that's where the podcast has really helped bridge that gap, because now it's like, I'm not just doing marketing. We're doing so much more, but my focus is on the marketing side, but then I just get to have so many more conversations with them.
Yeah. And I'm sure it's a really good conversation driver because, and I didn't mean to come off like, oh, Luke, they only come with you with problems. Like you have to fix this, but it's problems that they're seeing that they know you have solutions and
For sure.
connections to help fix. And I feel like that's why you've been so trusted.
Yeah. And that's one of my favorite things too, is when they do come to me or us with a problem and are looking for a solution. And I'd say Dirtbags has been the biggest driver for that, because they know we have all these connections, but then they know like I also work with a lot of them professionally and get to see their numbers, see everything, and also see a lot of their problems, but try and attack it from a way of like, okay, well, here's the problem. What are our options? Like, what can we do about this? And had a call today with a really good friend, a longtime client, and we're scheduled to call for Friday because we're just like a brainstorming session. Like things aren't going well on the people side, and we're hiring, but then he can't keep them for more than 6 months, and then they leave, and it's just like this wheel of stress, and we're not making any money, and it's just what else can we do? And so we're looking at options of potentially like, does he downsize a little bit? Does he sell some things off? Does he focus in on a different niche within excavation and septic he would be in? And so it's conversations like that where I become more of just a friend and a consultant, and less of like, I don't have all the answers, but at the end of the day, they run their own business and everyone runs it differently. And so I can't answer their questions exactly, but we do have resources to help them. And since we are their team, we can make it happen quickly.
Absolutely. No, and love that. But that's what it's all about too. I feel like having a business, right? You are solving people's problems.
Yeah. I just saw your text.
But yeah, man, no. And obviously when we hop on, it's fun to just like banter and talk. Cause like you said, we don't see each other personally, maybe once, twice a year, but we can hop on these calls and it's like, I saw you yesterday, and we can just pick up so seamlessly.
Yeah. 100%.
Nice.
You hear that squeak?
Yeah. Luke's 20, Luke's 30 going on 16 again.
Just took a sip of water there. Excuse me. Power tools and towing power. Ram trucks. All right. We're back.
Speaking of Ram trucks, our Ram trucks have been shitty lately.
Really? Do you have the Rebel or the TRX?
I got the TRX. Mine's been fine, but our 2500s, they've just always some sensor, some light, like fucking buttons won't work. Yeah, and I'm like, fuck. Maybe we should have stuck with Fords, but whatever.
So do most of the guys have Rams, or is that your decision?
No, we kind of changed it to where almost we catered a little bit to the foreman's wants. Like we just bought a 24 Dodge Laramie for one of our foremen because that's what he loves. He loves Dodge. So we're like, yeah, they got one available. Let's just buy that one for you. You know, Chase drives a brand new F-250 Lariat.
Hmm.
He loves Ford. That was my dream truck, he said. So we've kind of catered that a little bit. There's definitely a point that we can't just be buying new trucks for everybody,
Right.
you know, but for the guys that you can tell are in for the long haul, yes, I will take that chance and try to make you feel a little special in the best way I can.
Yeah. Do you mind me asking what if a business owner is listening and they're like, "Oh, I've never even thought about offering a truck to one of my top guys." What does something like that cost? And is there a program that you get on with the dealership, or is it like a lease program, or how does that work?
No, maybe there's a lease program. We just buy them. We've got a pretty good relationship. We got good relationships with all sorts of dealers. There's a
Yeah.
couple Ford dealers that we have really good relationships with that they give us some good deals on. We know the service is going to be there. Same with the Dodge dealers. I don't have a very good relationship with our Chevy dealers just because
Yeah.
I've never bought a new Chevy. But I think it starts with the relationship at the dealership and then kind of them helping you and like, hey, don't buy this truck this month. There's going to be incentives maybe coming
Mm.
out the next month, or hey, look at this, or so that's where it starts. But there are fleet programs I know of, but we don't entertain those. And like the way that we see it, we actually used to have trucks with everybody. Everybody in the company
Mm.
had a truck and they could take it home. We took those away because they were getting abused,
Yeah.
and not by everybody, but it kind of got taken advantage of to where Cole and I are like, no more bullshit, we're done. So only foremen are allowed to take trucks home now. All the other ones parked on the weekends. You can pick it up on Monday again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's extremely fair.
Yes, we do too. And there's some people that are obviously pretty upset about it because when you have a truck and you get one taken away, then it builds like, well, what did I do wrong? Well, it's not that you did anything wrong, but because it was so widely taken advantage of, unfortunately, this is what it constitutes. But hey, if you want a truck back, step up. Show me
Yeah.
that you can be a foreman. So hopefully it instills some of that in the guys, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. But so far, I mean, we took them, that was rolled out in like February, basically. Like if you're not a foreman, you're not taking your truck home.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, so that's been a change and that's been good. But hopefully
Yeah. I
it
mean,
instills.
that's part of that roadmap, though, that career path that they can go on, and it's just a benefit when you do get promoted, and another reason to work even harder for the company,
Yep.
uh, because you can see that there's extra privileges when you become more of a leader in your role, which doesn't mean you can't be a leader currently, but you have to show those traits to
Yes.
get promoted.
Yeah, you're not just going to be giving them anymore. You
Yeah.
might have in the last 3 years, but that's not the way it is anymore. One of the foremen actually brought it up and was like, this was last summer, and he's like, why? What's the incentive for me to be a foreman other than pay?
Hmm.
I'm like, that's a good question because
That's a
if
great
everybody
question.
gets a pickup, why? What's the incentive to try to level up?
Heated
They're
seats.
heated seats, yeah. And
Yeah.
all of them have heated seats. All of our trucks are 2018s plus. I think we have one 2015, but um, and so they're newer trucks. But yeah, that was kind of like a really good point of like you make sense that absolutely why does everybody have a pickup? What is the incentive to try to step up and be a foreman? Other than pay, there really isn't one. And for some people, it's really not about the money.
Dude, I was just gonna say that. It's
Yeah.
funny how little money actually means to people when you dive into it, because we've all gotten a raise and it's like super exciting, and then your bills come back in and then everything kind of adjusts and you're like, it's gone.
Yes.
And it's gone no matter what. And yes, you do need to make a livable wage and you want to make more money and you want to have that, but wouldn't you rather have like more or something else to look forward to? And that's why I think that's a great question. Is like, yeah, what is different with the foreman? Like, what is after that, and how do I get there? And
Yep.
if
And
it's
that's
just a
that's a
couple
good
bucks an
question.
hour more, then
Then why would anybody try to step up and incentivize, right?
yeah.
So, and that's a roadmap that we're still trying to build because we don't have a perfect one yet. We have a really good idea of where we want to go, but it's also, we kind of have a blank canvas and we
Hmm.
got to see where these, we'll say the first 3 years go with Western, this being year 2. And then we can really dial in, okay, where do we lack? Where do we need people in? Who can we promote within to really step
Yeah.
up and maybe take this role on? What is going to be a fit for their personality and their skills?
Do you give PTO to everyone?
Yeah, after 60 days, everybody gets
Oh,
PTO.
okay, after 60 days. That's
Yep.
smart because I was trying to figure that out too. I was just so new at this like a few months ago, and we always just do 2 weeks.
Yep.
And I was thinking about it. And I was like, what if I hire somebody in September? Do they just get to, because I pay it out at the end of the year?
Yep.
I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. And then they could just quit. And
Your PTO and yeah.
yeah, and so something I've done, and I don't know if this would help anyone, but is now I just do it by quarters. So
Okay.
basically 10 days if you start in the first quarter of PTO
Yep.
for the year. Second quarter, if you start 7.5, then 5, then 2.5. That way they still get the same amount they would have been offered.
Yep.
But I love paying it out at the end of the year because I'm like, if you don't want to be gone all the time or use up all your vacation time, like you can keep working. I would love to have you. I would rather you be here working and be healthy and having fun, and then just give you a check at the end of the year. But that's been great because then it's a good balance of like they'll use some of it, but then they don't have to use all of it if they don't need to.
Yeah. And PTO, we treat PTO a little bit differently because we're so reliant on good weather and
Yeah.
it's not guys' control when it's bad weather. But if there's nothing to do, I'm not going to have you come in. But that's the world of construction. We
Right.
have such a short amount of time to make all the money that we can. So we give 12 days after you get 12 days PTO after 60 days worked, but we don't pay that out at the end of the year. We tell guys to be creative with it, right?
Yep.
There's guys that will, they'll take PTO on Saturdays, or they'll put a PTO as a rain day, or obviously like vacations, weddings, because when they are gone, those are hours that they could have been working that they might need. Because again, when it's winter, you never know what the winter is going to be like.
Right. Is it PTO days or is it hours?
Well, so we have 12 days total, but that
Yeah.
equates to hours. And I think it's,
Gotcha.
8-hour days basically.
So if somebody had to take the morning off for whatever reason, they could and then come in, but it's probably not ideal, especially in construction. But
They could, because there's a way to track both of them.
Gotcha.
So, but I mean, speaking of, it's fun to go on the hours topic because, I mean, when it's time to work, it's time to work. This last payroll we submitted here, there wasn't a guy under 110 hours for the 2 weeks. Guys, I think somebody had 142 hours. And I was like,
2 weeks?
Yes. I'm like, holy shit. Good for you guys.
Dang.
So, I mean, we run hard.
Yeah. Damn. And is that hourly pay or salary or?
All hourly. Well, obviously there's PMs and other guys that are on salary, but most of that was hourly. I would say 98% is all hourly.
Yeah. So is time and a half is like standard in Minnesota?
Time and a half after 40 hours.
Damn.
Yeah. So there was a lot of overtime pay for just that payroll. It was $102,000 what we paid out the last 2 weeks.
Oh, dude, I remember one time not too long ago, you sent me a picture of your pay stub for the payroll taxes. And I was like, just about had a heart attack. I was like, that's not even, because we're getting into that space. We have 5 full-time employees now. And I'm like, just the payroll taxes are insane. But then I saw yours. I'm like, I should quit complaining.
Dude, but it's nothing that you can get out of. It's something you have to account for, but it's hard to account for it when you don't know what that number looks like until you physically have to pay it.
Yeah. And oh man, it's great though to see the growth, but there's a lot that comes with it. And we talked earlier in the podcast with risk, and that's just growing your business too. You have to take calculated risks, but that has to pay out. It has to be something that's going to have fruit at the end of the tree, because if it's just like, if you're just going to keep spinning your wheels and there's going to be nothing at the end, it's not worth it.
Correct. But there also is that devil's advocate to, like you said, you can calculate so much, but there are things that you just maybe have to just take an action on.
You have
Just
to be, you have to be a little bit crazy.
You do.
But yeah, you got to have a little bit of that safety blanket. And I always think of like the ace 7 against a 10.
Yep.
Soft 18. You're like, I don't really want to hit this. A
But you might as
3-2,
well.
3-2 ace or a
Yeah.
10. But then, yeah, you kind of got to take that risk. But then your security blanket there is that soft ace. And that's kind of your emergency fund.
Exactly.
And then you hit it and
Love
you
that
get,
you relate that to blackjack.
yeah, but then you hit it and then you get a 5 and you have a hard 13. You're like, all right, now we gotta.
You're like, now it's time to buckle down.
And then you take the jack and you bust out and you're like, damn it.
Well, that happens. You win some, you lose most. That's life.
Yeah. Yeah. You just got to keep digging. Before we jump on the next topic, I was, so Decker's Land Solutions reached out on Instagram while we were on the podcast, and he just said, love the pod, guys. Thank you for putting it out there. And so I just shot him a message back and said, hey, let me know if you want me to ask Luke anything while we're on here. And he actually just sent me a message, so I'm going to ask it. He said, haha, that's awesome. There's one thing I think would be cool if you guys talked about. Doesn't have to be now. We're going to do it now. I'm 17 and in business, and sometimes I find it hard to stay focused when I still want to have time to do the things I like with friends and whatnot. I know you guys started young, so I'm just wondering how you guys really got focused and kept away from distractions. Thanks again. So I'll start. I mean, yes, we started young, but I'm 29 and I started probably when I was 24, and he's 17. And when I was 17, I mean, I was in, I would have been a sophomore in high school.
Yep.
And I was only worried about, football. JV football stuff. So it's, I want to put that out there first. So don't be too hard on yourself. Definitely hang out with your friends. You've got a lot going on, but also, learn from people that are just a little bit further from along than you. So maybe somebody in their early 20s, or even somebody that's a few years into business, because they will teach you a lot more than in my opinion, they'll teach you a lot more than somebody that's in their 40s or 50s that's been doing it for 20 years. And I just think getting some nuggets from people that are a few years ahead, and you always got to filter through. You stay true to your principles and what you believe in, filter through some of the good ideas and get rid of their bad ideas, and create your own business. And, don't take yourself too seriously, but, treat people right and try and make sure that you make money at the end of the day.
100%. I think the best advice that I heard at that age that I never listened to, that I wish I would have, is nothing is permanent then.
Yeah.
You could do anything, right? You own a pickup trailer, a couple lawnmowers, maybe a skid steer at that time. Say you don't like it, you can always switch things up. But then on the flip side too, if you're 17 and maybe you have no interest in going to the lake on the weekends, or, hanging out with all your friends all the time, you can still do that, but definitely figure out what your priorities are. If I could put myself in my 17, I was in high school. So maybe that's different.
19.
Say 18, 19 after high school. If I could go back to that time with the knowledge that I had now, I wouldn't speak to anybody.
Yeah.
Because I don't talk to 99% of them anymore. They're really not relevant. And I'm 27, almost 28. There's a hand there. I can count on both hands how many people I talked to from when I was in high school.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy. And it's funny because one of the books that I usually recommend to people younger than me, it's called The Defining Decade.
Ooh.
And it's such a good book, I thought. And it's funny because I can't even recommend it to him yet, because it's all about your 20s.
Yeah,
he's not even close
he's
to his
17.
20s.
Well,
and I'm like, all right, well, that's good.
Good for him.
Absolutely. And that's where we're getting with this point. Good for you. Keep grinding too, but it's not all going to happen at once. But it'd be so cool when you're 23, 24 years old to say, man, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've gone through the ringer. I've
Yep.
learned a ton, but look how far we are now. And you're going to be 24 years old with a healthy business, a lot of contacts. And Luke, you've talked about it many times, but your reputation is going to be
Is
everything,
everything. It is.
especially when you're young.
Yes. And people are going to remember you when you're young because of that reputation, because you're going to build and you're going to meet a lot of people in different spaces, and they're going to remember you because, again, being 17 in business, you don't hear about that very often. So that's going to be something that's going to stick with people. But also, um yeah, Luke, I mean, you said it very well, but I think just knowing and understanding what your priorities are, because if you are, say you are 17 now and say you turn 25, 26, and you've been in it for 8, 9 years, you're going to be way ahead of people that are just starting out at that time, because you're going to have a lot of hard lessons learned, but they're going to pay off as you go. It's kind of a compound interest thing with the lessons in business. You might not learn from them right away, but there will be situations that come up and you'll be like, I've been there. Or, hey,
Yeah.
I can relate it to this.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And if I would recommend a book to him as well, it's The Compound Effect. I mean, it's one of
yep,
the greatest books out there. And Luke, you said it perfectly about it's like compounding interest, but for your business. The Compound Effect is exactly that. And so if you haven't read it yet, definitely read that. And for anyone still listening on the podcast, Decker's Land Solutions on Instagram, go give him a follow, shoot him a message, give him your piece of advice. If you listen to that whole question there, I think that would really help him. And yeah, I mean, anytime anyone has a question, feel free to reach out to us. We love to try and put together an answer of what we would do, but then we can also bring the community together and see how they would do it.
absolutely. No, we love the questions because it kind of makes us think a little bit outside of our comfort as well, especially if they're just kind of right off the cuff, like, hey,
I didn't even
this
read
question
that.
just
The
came
first time
in.
I
Yeah.
read that was right there.
Yeah. So I love that. That's fun.
Yeah, so that was great. So we should do more of those. And yeah, anything else coming up? I know, what do we got? July, August. You are you going to Dirt World Summit?
No, because that's in October, right?
October and November. Yeah, I got to
Yeah.
check on that, but
So I'm pretty, because Randy mentioned that he had some tickets for us. But so I go on my elk hunt the beginning of
yeah.
October, and then Riley and I are due kind of towards the end of October. So
Yeah,
I
that's
might
gonna be
not be
tough.
able to make that one, but maybe they'll let me zoom in or something.
No, or yeah, I would just stay home. Don't definitely don't come.
Yep.
And let's see. Yeah, I mean it should be a good time. So but that's exciting. Number 2 on the way.
Number 2. Yep. We got a little boy coming. I'm excited. Riley's excited. She's good. She's healthy. And yeah, we're just excited, man. This is kind of off topic, but we were talking about I'm going to this new doctor, and he's a chiropractor, but he just does some crazy stuff and he can resonate with people really well. He told me today that I have to spend a month away from home. So we have to take a month-long vacation somewhere, he said. You and the family. He goes, you got to spend a month away from home. You got to get out, because he says I'm too involved and too stressed with the day to day that I got to basically unplug and unwind. And he's like, because you have such an intensive season and a shorter like off season, got to take a month. I'm like, okay, so that's good to know. So Riley and I were talking about that today and what we're going to do and when we're going to do it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you thinking like somewhere in Big Sky or something, or?
We'll probably go warm just
Oh yeah,
because it's a little bit easier, especially with the newborn. We were
true.
thinking probably Florida. So we might go down there in the month of February and see how that goes.
Man, not a bad month to get to Florida.
No, the February or March, depending on which one's nicer. So
Yeah. Wow, a month, dude. That'll be a great test for the business, obviously,
yep,
and getting it to a point where you feel great about that.
yep.
I know you went, I can't remember, it was somebody's wedding and you were gone. Uh, I think it was in Florida too.
Somebody's wedding.
And you were away from the business and some stuff kind of stirred up at the wedding. And I can't remember exactly, but Yeah, it's good to pull
Oh
yourself.
yeah. Oh yeah, this was last year. I remember
Yeah.
this. Yeah. That was an interesting one.
Yeah,
One that I'll
but
never forget.
yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
it's just good to pull yourself out. But yeah, for a month that'll be tricky.
Yeah.
Do you
It'll be
think
a challenge.
you'll still be working or not at all?
Oh, I'll be working.
Okay, that's what I
I'll
thought.
I'll still have to be working, but it's the setting.
Yeah.
He said you basically have to force yourself out of like the comfort zone of work.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. He's like, you can't bring you can bring your iPad or your phone or something, but he goes, don't bring your computer. Don't worry about it.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like, okay.
Dude,
So
look at you just taking it, just saying, yep, sounds good to
yeah,
me.
dude, I'll tell you more about it like off air because it's an this guy is incredible. The stuff that he picks up on, and he's a chiropractor.
Hmm.
He talks to your body and he knows exactly like he can I'll have a conversation with Cole like a week prior and he'll bring up issues with something internally in my body that resonates with the conversation that I had.
What?
Dude, it's weird. It's super weird, but I don't want to say it's a voodoo doctor because he's not.
Sure.
He's very homeopathic and he's very like natural based and he has the strongest faith and he's in Managa. So
Hmm.
if you're ever in town, I'm gonna have to send you the link and you're gonna have to make an appointment.
Does he do the neck crack thing? That's terrifying.
Yeah, but I love getting my neck cracked now because
Oh,
Emily, she's a chiropractor
oh
and
yeah,
like
that's
she'll
right.
wail on me and after I feel good, but he does it a little bit differently. So
Wow. Yeah, I'll have to check him out
yeah.
when I'm back up. Which speaking of that, this summer I'll be back up quite a bit. I think I was looking at our schedule and of the next 8 weeks or so, I'm back 6 of the 8 weeks or something.
Hell
It's
yeah.
ridiculous. So
Good.
it's good. I love it. And it's just a lot of weddings. It's all fun stuff. Phaser fundraiser, second Turf Wars, like all that. But I'm like, dang, it's all just back in Minnesota.
Yeah.
So
Well, we'll limit the drinking next time you come and we'll go,
yeah,
I don't know, do something fun.
we'll go knit, play
Yeah.
cards or something.
I love a good card game. I do love a good card game. So
Yeah. Sweet dude. Well, yeah, that I think is a wrap on this podcast. We'll have to come up with a good title for this because we had a lot of good topics that we bounced around.
yeah, there was a lot of topics. We'll come up with one. But
Yeah.
well, hell yeah,
And
man.
then
Thanks.
we got to talk about our next guest too. So we'll jump on
Yes.
after that.
Yes. Deal.
All right, dude. Thanks again.
Peace.